Welcome to the show. Welcome to our last show. It's not an orbit's dust with myself, Peter Wren, and lovely Kathy, the lovely Lynda, and the Trevor. There you are. There you are. Last show, eh? Wow. Anyway.
Have we told anybody why it's our
No,
last show?
not yet.
We're going to
No.
have a big announcement, guys.
Yeah.
So hang on to your boots.
Yes. Anyway, how's y'all been? See, I sound very North American, don't I? How's y'all been?
I don't know what that was, but it definitely wasn't North American.
No, I'll just carry on talking the way I normally talk. Anyway.
Yeah. So
yes.
Yeah, it's been busy, Summertime is here. Kids are out of school. So the snow is gone and the heat has started up. So yeah. So just kicking it into summertime year and just looking forward to having a good time.
Yeah. Lynda, how you been?
Yeah, I've been really well. It's very, very busy, but it keeps me on my toes, so that's okay. And it's true. Beautiful weather. Gorgeous. It's been gorgeous.
Beautiful. Kathy?
I am really good. My son actually graduates on Thursday.
Congratulations.
I know, it's so wild. I just can't believe it. It ends an era. That's the thing. Like, I have, 3 children. And I would say, so it's been 25 years of school. You know what I mean? Like, when you put it all together, when you line it all up, 25 years of the elementary, junior high, and high school. And it's like, it's kind of sad. Like, no, I mean, he's still going to go to university. It makes me happy. It makes me happy that he's done, except for the university. But, no more of this, hey, got to get up for school Monday to Friday, yada, yada, yada. You know what I mean? Until the university starts. And then that's, he's obviously officially an adult too. But, it's like the end of holy man, this is the end of an era, right? So it's huge. It's not his last day on Thursday. It's the commencement. So when they walk across the stage and get their diploma, and mom's sitting there in every single video bawling, and that's all you're gonna hear. And
that's funny.
Every picture is gonna have mascara and looking like a raccoon, and a whole bit, but it's all good. But yeah, I don't think their last classes until the end of June. We still have diploma exams and all of that stuff to go through. But that's where we are. It's exciting.
Awesome. That's good. Congratulations. A proud mother moment, that's for sure. That's awesome. Yeah, we were from outside. We're getting ready for our investigation next week. We're off to the SS Sycamus, which is a historic location. Well, not really historic for BC, for history purposes. It's only 100 years old, and everywhere else is a lot older. But we're off to Penticton, and we're off to investigate the SS Sycamus, which was a ship that used to transport soldiers around during the First and Second World War, and it's had a lot of history around the Okanagan as well, in BC as well. So it'll be our second trip. The very first trip was very interesting for sure, and we're looking forward to doing some presentations, fundraisers for them as well in later on this year as well. So it's going to be a long late night for me, which I'm not too happy about. But I like to be tucked up in bed by 9:30 watching Netflix. But anyway, but no, we got that on the horizon. So that is that. So the news. So yeah, we are. This is our last show, unfortunately, but we are now moving into a new direction. A little while ago, both myself and Jason Hewlett, who is the co-creator of the We Want to Believe show, were contacted by a network called Paraflix, and we were asked last week to join their network, their streaming network, and we signed contracts with them late part of last week. That includes this show as well. So we are going to be rebranding the show, and we're going to be moving over to Paraflix, which works better for us with our schedules as well. But unfortunately, no more live feeds or anything like that, which is kind of sad. But yeah, we're moving to a more exciting direction, and it's actually nice to get some recognition of what we've been doing for the past few years now, 2 years, and
2 years, I think, yeah.
And having that, people, thanks to the audience as well and your support, has helped us along our way, and having that recognition for us to like level up and go into a streaming network has definitely put a huge feather in our cap, and we're very, very excited to move forward with that.
Definitely exciting. It's a little what do you call it? Not overwhelming. I think
daunting.
Daunting.
Yeah,
daunting.
Like, oh man.
Yeah, it's a big one. So yeah, I was I'm really excited at the same time. I'm a little terrified. So because it's a big deal, it's a big step forward for us, and
huge.
Yeah. So I mean, the Netflix of the paranormal, Paraflix, it's gonna be awesome.
Yeah, it's going to be kind of weird having pre-recorded shows. It makes me wonder, because we do everything so spontaneously, how many times I'll have to edit the show.
Yeah, you'll spend most of your time editing me out. I'm sure.
I know.
Yeah, scratch that comment out of there. Yeah, what an idiot. So.
Totally.
I don't know. I get on a swearing streak once in a while, so
that's awesome. For the studio audience, I'm posting the. Oh no, I'm not. What was that? I'm going to be posting the link in the comments sections to the actual to Paraflix itself. If you do click on this link and you subscribe to the channel, we get some reimbursement back on that as well. So I'll post it right now.
Yeah, and you can find Paraflix on some different. You can get Paraflix different ways. Peter knows all of them. I found it on Fire TV or Fire Stick. You can get it on Roku. You can download the Paraflix app to your phone. Where else can you get it?
Google Play, iOS, Apple TV.
So there's Apple TV has it. Cool.
Yeah. So there's a lot of ways that you can get it, which is really cool.
Prime?
It is not you can get it as an app, but it's not a channel on Prime yet.
Okay.
Yet.
It's on Tubi as well, but I believe that Tubi is going to be launching their own paranormal genre as well.
Yeah, I couldn't find it on Tubi, so because I was looking for it there.
It's it's an app, and you get there's a lot of, it's a free app as well. You get a lot of kind of 80s movies and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Stuff that you remember watching years ago. I remember that movie, that kind of thing. There's a lot of good family movies on there as well. But anyway,
as I understand it, when I was kind of reading the synopsis of what Paraflix is I mean there are hundreds of shows on there. There are a lot of shows on there. Everything from paranormal investigations. There's cryptozoology stuff. There's UFO stuff. There's and then they've got movies, scary movies too. But the paranormal investigations, I understand, it's more of the realistic paranormal investigations, not the hyped up, over dramatic, fake investigations that we see broadcasts on television all the time.
So, what did you call them?
Fake.
Oh, fake. Yeah.
So
demons.
Yeah, as I understand it, that's I haven't personally gotten to watch any of the shows yet. I haven't had quite the time, but it is a subscription service. When I looked at it, it was like $4 a month, so it's very affordable. $3.99 a month, and that gives you access to all that. So
they're definitely they have a bit of a screening process as well, because even the We Want to Believe show, both myself and Jason. We had to go through that screening process in this show as well when we brought that show forward, and the the other show that me and Jason do as well, like it went through quite the process before the CEO for Paraflix gave it the green light. So again, I'm proud of what we've done and what we've accomplished both here and on the channel as well. Like it's very, very much a feather in our cap, and I'm looking forward to what the future holds as well. So good stuff.
It is super exciting. I mean, it's one of those things that you don't. When we started doing this, a couple years ago, I mean, originally it was Peter and I that started it, and we wanted to bring you two on, and we've just increased the show so much, and just there's been definitely episodes where you put your heart and soul. I mean, all episodes, but you're always putting your heart and soul into it and all of that stuff, and it's, you never really think about it at the end as an end result. You're not like, oh yeah, it'd be great if this happened. Like we never started off like that, did we, Pete? Like when we first started.
Yeah, we had zero expectations, and even the YouTube thing as well. It just I didn't at that stage when it monetized or anything like that. I just kind of wanted to see how it went, and the whole point of the I Want to Believe concept was to do it right in the first place. And I didn't want to, I didn't want to flood the YouTube channel with rubbish and with people that with the wrong type of shows, the wrong type of content. That's why I was very selective about the people I did ask to join the channel and stuff like that, just to keep that filter away. And it just it happened at the right time under the right terms, and we're not going to be exploited in any way to make us look like we're actually we're either showboating or we're going to be that Hollywood element where we're just going to be making stuff up as we go along. So it's definitely a feather in our cap. So there's the advertisement for the We Want to Believe show that was published on Friday this week. So that's a starting block for us as well.
That's cool.
Fabulous.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. So it's exciting. It's exciting. So make sure you subscribe and watch us.
Really?
Yeah, because we're going to be doing so. I'm excited. I mean, I'm trying to be cautiously optimistic and not like, oh yeah, but we're going to have a lot of great content. So this is going to open up a whole new avenue of shows that we're going to be able to put on here, and it's going to be great. So
we've had some amazing guests over the last couple of years. Like, I mean, our guests have just been fantastic, and we're hoping to be able to bring them not only back onto through Paraflix, but bring in new ones. Just be able to give you guys amazing content all the time.
Yep.
We've had a couple of bad guests as well, but we won't really go into that.
But that's what makes it fun.
That's just being totally honest.
Interesting.
Yes, there's been a couple where we've kind of scratched their heads and thought, let's just finish the show. But on the whole, it's been a really good ride so far, and we're definitely looking forward to the next stages of what's going to happen for sure.
But you know what, Peter? Sometimes it's fun to have guests like that. I mean, I know Kathy and I had one guest like that, and it was almost like
Lynda.
Yeah, we had two.
And the guy just suddenly disappeared. I don't know how that freaking happened, but suddenly it was just you and I for two guests that we were like, oh my goodness. This is a fun day.
Now you know why we disappeared.
Yeah. I just made myself sick that day. It was just like, no, I don't want to be involved with that. It just doesn't want to happen whatsoever. But
it's okay. We did you proud. It's all good, Pete.
No, I appreciate that. Thank you. You kept the torch burning, that's for sure. So
we did.
Yes. So this week's show, we've actually, you know what, Trevor, do you want to talk about this week's show?
Okay, sure. This week's show, we're going to try to come up with the top 10 reasons that people call for paranormal investigators. people call paranormal teams. The top 10 reasons, because there's a lot of reasons out there. We get some, just like our guests, we get some different ones, different clients, and but everybody has a different claim or a different problem that they need solved. Yeah, let's get our list going.
Okay. Number one is the logical reasons. So it would be things like logical reasons behind theories of the paranormal. So it would be things like constructability issues or environmental issues, that kind of thing.
When people call and they say they have a ghost in their house, there's something going on. At least on my team, we consider a ghost the unknown problem. A ghost is the gremlin in the house. It's whatever's causing the perceived activity. So creaky floorboards, drafty windows, whatever. And it's our job to kind of go in and figure out what the ghost is. Sometimes, it's something as simple. They don't like being in this side of the house because there's a really high EMF field in there, and they're sensitive to that, and they didn't realize it. We can show them that's what's going on. This is probably what it is. Continue with the investigation. If we don't catch anything paranormal or anything that we can't explain, then we can kind of attribute their ghost to being just a high EMF field there. Does that make sense?
It does, totally. It does. With me over the past upteen amount of years since I've been doing it, there's been a lot of I've never really come across cases where it's been proven that EMF has been the sole source of the paranormal. It's always been I found some issues in the past, like we were talking about before the show with carbon monoxide, but that was when I was a gas fitter as well, and the symptoms of that were hallucinations, and they did believe that wholeheartedly that their apartment was actually haunted as well at the same time. I've been there where there's been a high vibration level with there was a similar incident, I think, in New York a few years ago with a broken fan. And Lynda, you might have heard about this case where there was a broken fan in the mechanical room in the basement, and what it was doing is it was transferring a noise, a vibration noise below a certain decibel up through the ductwork, and everyone in the apartment building were claiming things of paranoia as well, and paranormal as well. I had one case like that in a hotel once where there was some mechanical equipment. There were actually like 40 pumps and stuff like that where the bearings would go in, where it was creating that noise that was below a certain level. And there were people that were, when they were working around that area, they were thinking that they were seeing things, and that their brains were getting headaches as well, nausea, that kind of thing. So yeah, that's with that. That's probably on a niche, but never really anything on EMF. What about yourself?
I did. We actually had something with EMF. So a few years ago, we actually had a rental property. We were called by the owners for this rental property, and they had several people, move into the place, live there for a few months, and then start, having claims of headaches, seeing things, hearing footsteps, seeing dark figures, getting sick. So getting really, really sick. And we went to the house, and even just walking up to the house, we have one investigator who's very, very sensitive to EMF. Like, she could feel it, and even as we were walking up, I could feel it. A couple investigators, it wasn't our first thought that, that this would be the problem. But as you're walking up, you can feel like the vibration, and, our investigator Sherry was very, very sensitive to it. Within about 10 minutes in the house, you start to get a mild headache. You can feel like it's like a mild irritating headache. And turned out to be down in the basement of this house, near the washing machine, there was a big clump of, I don't know, like a rat's nest of wires. Rats, just literally, like, and it, I mean, when you held the EMF to it, It was off the chart, like completely off. So we said to them, look at, we can't even begin to investigate until this is taken care of. Like, you're going to have to call an electrician, because there's no point in us investigating, because the symptoms that we're experiencing, are not paranormal. They're probably coming from this mess that you've got going on here. And they did call an electrician. Apparently they were one spark away from one hell of a fire. And once they got it cleared up, their tenants that they currently had at that time, problems went away. Everything went away. So, that had been pretty much it the entire time. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow. I have a simplistic one. This is really simplistic, and I'm sure it's happened to, a myriad paranormal investigators. But yeah, so we had one where someone was renting a cottage. And of course, they were very, very into all of the paranormal shows. And one of the things they kept hearing was scratching in the walls. Well, of course, what did they have? They had mice.
Right.
And they really thought that the place was haunted. It was horrible. And the scratching was terrible at night. And they were convinced that it was ghosts. And we were able to go in. And of course, it was mice. So that's a very simplistic example, but it's happened on more than one occasion. So you have to be really careful, and you've got to go in and you've got to talk to these people. And honestly, could be as simple as a mouse.
Yeah, or pipes, and even that kind of thing.
Even when we are able to debunk some of these things, we talk about, back to EMF. You guys remember the old style clock radios, right?
Right.
Instead of the nice, pleasant little music alarms that we have on our phones these days, we were us Gen Xers were awakened to a loud, deep, ugly buzz from these clock radios. They were horrible, or this super loud, crazy alarm, and we used to sleep with those things on a nightstand right next to our heads. Well, they put off a tremendous amount of EMF. And early on in my career, my time as an investigator, a lot of the calls we would get were from people who couldn't sleep at night because they always felt like somebody was standing over them, watching them. They were being watched. They didn't like it. They were having these terrible feelings. They'd have headaches and bad dreams. And my first question would be, do you have a clock radio by your bed? Well, yes, I do, because most of us did. So we'll unplug that thing and let me know how it goes.
Get a wind up one.
And yeah, that took care of the problem. Now, I have also had instances where people would go in and we would find high EMF fields, and that would explain maybe why a child was, waking up not able to sleep at night and stuff. However, we also found that we were getting EVPs and things like that. So just because there are some simplistic explanations to some things, but you never know. You might have a spirit there too.
Yeah, well, I've had in the past I've had high EMF levels, and like with the alarm clocks as well. And you give recommendations, but like 99.9% of the time when they, I've asked them to put that clock over the other side of the room, the activity is still there. I had one place as well where the child was actually in a room and her head was right by the electrical, like a subboard as well. Oh, yeah. And it was just like, just move your bed over, and but it didn't it didn't do anything because the whole house was active, and it was just, it didn't stop that thing happening. And there was actually one as well, because my background's mechanical and electrical. We did an investigation in a house in Surrey, BC, and it was the weirdest thing that it was like chest height below. The whole of the basement apartment had a steady level of EMF, and I can't remember what it was, but it was like 8 or 9 megajoules or something like that. And the moment you put your hand over a certain threshold, it dropped nothing, and it just did that all the way through. And we ran around and we combed the whole apartment. It was exactly the same, and it was to the point when you walked out the front door and you went down a step. It was outside as well, and I located the meter, and what it was the ground on the meter wasn't connected. and it created that force of EMF over that level. And I told her to get an electrician out to sort it out, that kind of thing. And I never heard anything again after it. And it's with me, it's one of the things you just cross off a list. And with me, with being a gas fitter as well, I walk in with carbon monoxide anyway because I want to make sure that their gas fire is okay and that kind of thing. It's just matter of courtesy as well, like we did up in Gooding as well, Trevor, with that gas fire downstairs. But yeah, interesting one. So number 2, conflicts between wives and husbands and stuff like that when we go into investigations. So typically, when we go to a lot of investigations, one of the married couples doesn't believe in what was going on, and the other half is adamant that the place is active. So I've run into quite a few of those. But let's start with Cathy.
Oh gosh, I honestly, you got to move on to somebody else right now. I gotta think. I don't know if I've actually had that experience, but yeah. With the husband and wives, or where the couples fought. Mine is more number 3 that's going to be coming up. So.
I'll start then. So we, when I was with my old group, we were invited to, it was a city down in the Lower Mainland. I'm not going to name which city it was, but they actually got in contact with us because there was a whole area, a block of co-op housing that was active and reports of activity and stuff like that, and they just wanted it documented. And there was one particular house we went to where the husband didn't even want us in there because he was just like, he didn't believe in ghosts, he didn't believe in spirits or anything like that, and he was just, why are these people in here? And he really went out of his way to make us feel uncomfortable. Like, he'd stand at the front with all his friends drinking beer and stuff like that. And we were just there on behalf of the city just to document what was going on, and he made it kind of different. Anyway, we left that place and we moved a few houses down, and that was about 2 weeks later. And then one afternoon we unloaded I was unloading my car, going in with all my equipment and stuff like that in another house, and he'd come running down the road. And he's got tears in his eyes, and he just basically turned around and said, he goes, "I witnessed it." He goes, "I have no idea what I witnessed," but he goes, and it just crushed his whole belief system, because he watched his son being dragged down the stairs by one leg as he was standing in the kitchen, and it just totally flipped him over in relation to his belief system. And he was a sobbing mess, and it was like, and lucky I had a couple of female members of my team, and they were a bit more empathic in relation to his emotions and stuff like that. But yeah, when those non-believers suddenly get that moment, and I'm not saying it happens to everyone, it's a rocky process with them for sure.
I've had several instances where it's not all the time, but most of the time I feel like it's the female in the relationship is having the experiences, and it's the male in the relationship that is denying them or justifying or rationalizing everything. The children in the house, might be having experiences as well, but for some reason it seems to be the adult male that is going to be the skeptic, which is great. I love skeptics. It's important to have skeptics. You should be skeptical when you're investigating. That's what makes a good investigation. But what we're going to run into is it starts to cause a big conflict in the family, because the wife or the female in the relationship is just wanting to be heard and wants somebody to believe that she's having these experiences. And men, we're not always sensitive to that. I think a lot of it's got to do with, we start talking about spirits and things that are bothering our families and stuff. That's something that's kind of out of our control. We don't like it. We like to be able to be in control of things. We like to be able to solve problems, and that's a problem that most men just don't know how to deal with. And so we try to rationalize and push that away. And it's been interesting to see some of the like in Peter's case, the transition where we were able to come in and do an investigation and then present tangible evidence and to see how their perception changes. And more often than not, they will finally disclose that they too had actually been having experiences that they didn't want to talk about, that they didn't want to admit because nobody was going to believe them type thing. So, that is a thing. And my advice to anybody out there is if somebody is saying, if like you have a loved one that's saying that something's happening, just pay attention to them. Don't shut them down right away. Just try to be a little empathetic. Because they're just looking for somebody to believe them so they're not feeling like they're going crazy. So.
Yeah, absolutely. But I find we've had a few of those as well, where either the husband or the wife has been having experiences and the other one doesn't believe it. But it kind of hinders the whole process and hinders everything, because often the wife or the husband will say, well, I really want you to come in and check things out when, let's say, my husband or my wife is not home.
Yep.
And that is a huge problem, because then you're dealing with, okay, you're going behind their back. It's a horrible thing, but it does happen. It does happen, because let's face it, if you're experiencing something, you will reach out to anyone who will listen and who will come in and check it out. And we're those people. But if your partner is not cooperating, that makes it so difficult for not just you, but for us as well, for the investigators. So
exactly. No, that's good. Okay. Moving on. Children, number 3. Children.
Yeah. So that's where we had quite a few. It's usually the mothers, that have called, where the children are experiencing something. And again, we're not trying to beat up on the men. Sorry, guys. But, it's usually the dads that are like, nope, it's not happening. He's just being a lazy SOB. He just doesn't want to do this and he doesn't want to do that. Or, kids on drugs. It's got to be drugs. Kids drinking, whatever it is. But, they pretty much try to harass. We've had some parents, not going to say all men, or all dads, but even some of the dads have even harassed the kids to where the kids' like self-confidence has been, so low within themselves. Like they're so terrified because nobody's believing them. Their moms believe them. But as moms, we tend to do that. Our kids could say that they were, a donkey that day and okay, dear, whatever. Right. But that's how a mom, but the dads have not been all of that believing is what we had found. And there was a few cases. We had one case, and this is a case I had talked about before, where we were in. We did go to investigate, and it was actually the family of quite a famous restaurant chain. Okay, so. And they had asked if we could, come and investigate their house. We actually had the house to ourselves, which was wonderful. So we were able to do, our own thing, and without somebody like kind of staring over you, I guess, how it can be when they want to stay or watch the investigation. But and we were in the basement at one point. I won't go into the whole thing, but this is, and I've talked about it on the show before, but where our other investigators came down and could not see us, even though we were directly in the middle of the basement. You couldn't miss us. It was an open basement. You could not miss us if you were looking. But then we were in one of the side bedrooms, like one of the basement bedrooms, and we saw the door fly open, and then we saw the door close, but we did not see a person. Interesting enough, the investigator that came to check on us did not open, or she's the one that opened the door, we found out later, did not see us and just went and closed the door. So here the boy was complaining, or one of his issues was that the parents were accusing him of not responding, ignoring them, being kind of just a schmuckhead, even to some degree taking off. Like they were accusing, and he's like, I was home. Well, you weren't there, so obviously you weren't home. But that one night pretty much dispelled a lot of it, for our investigator to not, like, we were literally, one was sitting on the bed, one was on the floor, but with the light, you could easily see us. Like there was no missing us. And we did not see them. We did not see a person. So there was something going on with that home. I don't know what it was, but, and we've talked about it before, but it was interesting. So it did help, but we've had several cases like similar, where the kids would say, look, at something is going on. This is what's happening. And we actually did find that a lot of children in those cases were actually very psychic or very sensitive to the paranormal. And and because the fact that they could see things that, it's usually one of the parents, either the dad or the mom, or sometimes both, that also had that ability and may have been just denying it or dismissing it. And sometimes when you brought it out or brought that up as a possible reason, it'd be like, well, coming from the dad, well, I kind of actually, was one of those kids. Like I actually did know stuff, and sometimes I feel things, and sometimes I see things, and then it starts to come out. Hey, maybe you've got some sensitivities or some psychic abilities. So interesting.
Men don't like to be sensitive. We're not sensitive creatures by nature, and that's just it. And that's why I think moms are definitely more apt to believe what their kids tell them, or at least to pretend to believe what their kids tell them. I mean, preschooler comes home with some art, and mom says this is the greatest thing I've ever seen. Well, it's really not, but that's what moms do, right? They try to make their kids feel better. They want their kids to feel appreciated. They want their kids to feel acknowledged. Dads do that too, but they want their kids to be tough. They want their kids to be resilient, and they want them to be grounded and practical. The thing about children, though, is that, especially the younger ones, right? They're very accepting of the world that they see. They don't rationalize. They don't try to think, they're presented with something. They just believe what they see. Even up to a certain age, children actually see differently than adults do. They have a different, and it's not so much that they see in a different light spectrum, but they are able to see more of the light spectrum. As we get older, cellular degeneration, exposure to the sun and bright lights, we start to lose a lot of that, especially in our main field of vision. However, we retain some of it in our peripheral vision, which is why we see things moving out of the corner of our eye so much that when we look and we don't see anything at all. Well, kids can see that all the time. So kids that are saying that they're seeing something, they probably are seeing something, and, it can be sometimes maybe it is just a fantastic imagination, but it's still something that needs to be, I would hope that, parents will start to kind of like, oh, okay, well, they're seeing this over and over and over again. Maybe they're actually seeing something. A great example was my own sister, who used to have an imaginary friend named Jacques, which is really weird because that's not a common name that you'd find in Oregon. On the Oregon coast, and it was at first it was like, oh, okay, she's just it's a game, right? She's playing a game, but Jacques was with her all the time. And I mean, even if my mom was going to sit, or one of us were going to sit down somewhere, oh, careful, you're going to sit on Jacques, right? And they're like, oh, okay, so I'll go sit over here. There was even one time where my sister had gone in to the bathroom. My mom was in the shower and she was talking to my mom in the shower, and she turned around and started screaming at Jacques to get out of the bathroom. So I mean, it was really weird. And then one day he was just gone. Like it was like he was there and then he was gone. So was it her imagination? Or was there actually somebody that was there with him? She said that he walked up into the woods and never came back, is what she told us.
Unbelievable. we've got another 7 to go, and we've got 20 minutes left on the show. So let's do one subject per person. Otherwise, we'll be here for like 4 hours.
Yeah, I love this show. We could just talk forever about this.
I know. So number 4, and this one can go to Lynda, is nightmares.
Oh, nightmares. Yeah. We get a lot of people that contact us who say, you know, I've never had a paranormal experience in my entire life, but lately I've been having nightmares and I can't explain them. I don't understand them. I wake up screaming. And I know that prior to all of this, we were talking also about, what was it now? But being held down and pinned down.
Sleep paralysis.
Sleep paralysis. Yeah. So a lot of people talk about that as well. And honestly, you know, when you do some excavation, maybe, and you talk to them about their experiences and have them write them down, sometimes you find some correlation between perhaps a traumatic experience that happened in their lives, which would, of course, explain some of the nightmares, but it could also be someone in their life that perhaps passed over. And let's face it, when you are in that sleep phase between, you know, sleeping and waking, that's when normally you're visited by people who have passed over, and that could be happening as well. So yeah, nightmares are a huge one. We get a lot of people that contact us about, you know, okay, I never had anything before, but they're coming to visit me in my dreams. And yeah. And they're being pinned down. So there could be a psychological reason for that as well. And, you know, that's part of what we do as paranormal investigators. We ask questions and we try and determine why these things are happening. So that's a major big one. Nightmares are huge. So there.
Yeah, big time. Big time. I'll start with the next one. Well, I'll do the next one. Ouija boards. So not really too much recently, but during like Ouija boards have been around for some time. Even if you want to kind of put a date on it, like the original Ouija boards were, they date back to like hundreds of years ago in China when they used to use a direction of spirit board. But the Ouija board has been around it started in the 19th century. It was fine up until probably about the mid 90s, and I believe there was a movie that came out which kind of pointed to the finger at Ouija board stirring demons and stuff like that, and it kind of made a big stir in North America with, you know, I play with a Ouija board and this is happening and that's happened and stuff like that, and I've actually got about 6 Ouija boards in my collection, which were donated to me from previous investigations where the client was adamant that those Ouija boards were the issue with the activity. And you know, I'm not saying for 1 minute that you know, that all of the stories that we've heard about Ouija boards, there isn't a lot of you know, there is any credibility to it or anything like that. But the ones I've got, sadly, have had no activity whatsoever. But you never say never. Like, for me to turn around and say that it's just a bit of cardboard and a bit of plastic, and slightly a bit ignorant in the relation of you know, I believe in ghosts, something that's not really there or something that's not proven. So yeah, that's generally it with Ouija boards with me, and what I've seen so far. Moving on to number 6, and I will hand the mic over to Trevor, which is pets.
Pets. Well, first, you were talking about, you know, denying the power of the Ouija board. I was waiting for one of those masks behind you to start spinning around. It didn't happen. So pets. So we've got pets. You know, there's a belief that pets have kind of that extrasensory perception. They can pick up things that humans can't. We'll get calls sometimes about pets just acting strangely. They start growling at things down the staircase, or there's a certain room in the house that they don't want to go into. And we even sometimes will try to use, if we have a pet, we'll try to use them on investigations as well. And it is true. They do pick up on things that we don't. And a lot of times, sometimes, there might be a dog that's growling at something that's in the corner of the room that you can't see because it's hearing a mouse on the wall or, something that is easily explained. They might even be a little bit more sensitive to EMF. And they might actually be sniffing out something that is actually there that they're perceiving as a threat that we are not. So it's something that we always warrants an investigation if pets are acting strangely. We definitely is something that we want to check out. So pay attention to your pets.
Yeah, totally. Okay. Number 7, showboating or dog and pony shows, as Trevor defined it as. Now, Kathy.
Yeah, it has happened. I mean, with clients, I'm trying to remember some particular ones, but we did have an experience. This was interesting. We did have an experience with a TV show that wanted to do an investigation, and it was mostly the dog and pony show. But we've had so many people, that call and say, we've always said, on this show and just in other places where it's easier to convince somebody that they have ghosts rather than they don't have ghosts, because some of these people want to believe that there's ghosts, right? They want to have that experience. They want to have that haunting, or they don't want to do the work that is intended to not have the haunting or to be in a place, because it's for them, it's like you said, it's the showboating. It's my special thing. I have a haunted house, so it's a special thing. I want people to think that I'm haunted, or I want this, or I want that. We've had a few of those where no matter what you tell these people, there's nothing that's going to convince them that their home is not haunted. And I just think, I don't even know if I can particularly pick up one, mention one particular case, because the bottom line is that they really come to they either really dismiss you, or they'll just call another team, one that will come in, maybe sometimes with the Ouija boards and the hocus pocus, and the ones that will do a dance and be like, oh yeah, you've got this haunting and it's this and it's a demon for sure, because that's what they want to believe. And but I think we're going to be going into the next topic off of that. I think it's the next one, isn't it, Peter?
So the next topic is number 8, demons, and that goes to Lynda.
No.
Okay. I thought maybe it was the next one.
I know where you're going with that.
There is a topic coming up, which is very good for what I was just talking about. But yeah, the showboating. I think the showboating though also kind of goes with some of the fake investigations that people have tried to perpetuate, whether it's on a TV show, and that's what we actually had dealt with. Is we did have a show that there was a host and the producer or whatever, they wanted to have a paranormal investigation, so we did find a house, and of course, I mean, we all know you sit there for 12 hours, 2 weeks, and something might not happen, right? So it's going to be hit or miss, but we caught them with the trying to move something and trying to make it look like something paranormal was happening, and we had to kibosh that and be like, okay, sorry, but if you put us with this thing that you created that is fake, we will call you out on it. We will call you out publicly on it, because that's not who we are, and that's the end of that. So yeah, but demons.
demons. Lynda.
They're everywhere.
Oh, wow. Yeah, best topic ever. Yeah, no kidding, right? Trevor said it best. Everybody believes that any kind of paranormal experience has got to be a demon, especially people that watch paranormal shows that they themselves are showboating within those shows. But yeah, again, everything apparently is a demon. And also, especially if somebody is of a particular religious persuasion, they do believe that anything paranormal does not come from, the light. It comes from the darkness. Therefore, it has to be a demon. And some people want it to be a demon. So when they call you in and you tell them, A, that it could be a mouse, B, that it could possibly be something psychological that's going on, C, perhaps they're watching too many of those shows, or D, it's nothing, you are persona non grata because they want it to be a demon. So there.
So there.
Demonic mice. Yeah, I'm going to have a new nightmare. Demonic mice. Oh, yep. Man.
That's right. Demonic mice.
It's the misconception of TV shows and how it's portrayed on TV as just, it's just entertainment. But unfortunately, people interpret what they see on TV as actual real life, and it makes our life sometimes a lot difficult in relation to trying to tell someone that what's going on in the house is not a demon. And
I tell you, if there were a lot of demons out there, our investigations would be a lot more exciting.
Yeah, I think so as well. If there was a lot more Hollywood added.
Not that we want more demons.
We really don't. But I mean,
yeah, we're not conjuring anything. That's for sure.
No. Anyway.
Okay, number 9 is camera footage. So basically, as to what the show title is, it's not an orb, it's dust. We get a lot of inquiries from people that send us pictures of dust mites flying around their houses, and a lot of times we just disregard it as it being dust, that kind of thing, and it's very rarely do I ever get anything through that has the characteristics of something that is beyond just a dust orb or anything like that. And what I'm critical about is when I get video footage of orbs flying around. We've got to be wary about air movements, that kind of thing, and it's really difficult for us to ascertain if it's actually a ghost or not. Like, we don't know, to be honest with you, but the natural assumption is that it's dust because of what dust does, and there's no way of us proving it to anyone to say that is Casper the Friendly Ghost, rather than it being just a bit of lint off of the side of your chair kind of thing. So
people get mad.
They get really mad.
Angry when even if it's not dust. I mean, we'll see, pictures that are just so pixelated that you could be looking at anything and they're like, no, this is a class 4 phantom, and it's. I
love it when they put it in classes.
I don't even, and then they get angry because we start picking it apart and stuff, and and it's not like we're not trying to be mean. We really aren't trying to be mean, but you have to understand that not everything is a ghost. And you're taking a picture, one little still frame out of this moment in time, and trying to convince the world that this is legitimate paranormal experience activity. You can't do it.
You can't. And I think as it what it originates from as a paranormal investigator, if like Trevor, you was a client, and I was to produce to you a picture of an orb, I have to justify that orb is paranormal.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't do that. Like, I cannot say that orb is paranormal, because it's any given piece of any given orb has the same characteristic on camera. But if I was to see that orb with my own eyes, and I called it on camera, then it's something that's paranormal, because you don't visually see blue lights, red lights, or any kind of lights coming across visually with your own eyes. And I think that's the misconception about it, what it actually happens. And it's tough. It's definitely a harrowing subject. I mean, within certain cultures, orbs are energy of life. And you don't want to overstep the territory, and being naive or disrespectful to people's cultures at the same time as well. So it's that slippery slope in relation to it.
I think what people need to understand is if they want to present an orb as a legitimate spirit, it's got to be in a dark room, no IR, no light sources, just take a picture. It should be black with no flash, and if you get a ball of light, it's an orb. So it's anything else. I mean, you have to assume from an objective point of view that the flash or the IR is reflecting off of dust or an insect, and that's just because that's what it does. So,
but that's how light travels anyway. If we were to take a picture of complete darkness with a camera, and it wasn't an orb, it would be just you standing in front of it. You would need light for it to, for you to show up. So it's that again. How do you prove and disprove that? Even if you got an orb on camera, you'd need light source to identify Casper, the friendly ghost. So
it's tough. It's one of those ones where it's so hard. I mean, I've seen them in real life, just like I know Lynda has too, and I'm sure I've seen, but trying to prove that, man, it's tough.
Yeah, no, totally. Okay, number 10 and the final one, and I'll hand this off to Lynda, is other teams.
Oh yes, other teams. So
Lynda's favorite subject.
It is my favorite subject. Often paranormal teams will get called in because a team has been there before and they have stirred up things, or they have given them an analysis that, they don't quite like. That's another thing too. But often teams will go in and stir things up and tell them untruths. And it's just not right. So they need another team to come in and unravel what the team before them has, bunged up. And that happens more often than anyone wants to even believe. So, yeah. Easy.
Yeah.
Do your research. If you're going to call paranormal teams, do some research for sure.
I've had it so many times. There is one actually, and I know we were doing one subject per person. No. This really grinds my gears every time I talk about this. There was a famous psychic, well, famous in his own mind, that lived in Vancouver, and he went to a client's house, and he turned around and told her that there was 40 bodies buried in her garden, and there was 40 demons in her house. And it just I'm not going to tell the audience what the outcome was or anything like that, but what gives people the right to even entertain that? There was nothing really went on in the place. There was a few, got a few EVPs when I went in there to investigate and stuff like that, and there was a couple of things that were odd, but it wasn't to the point there was 40 demons in our house. And it's just that we when we say things to clients, we've got to be very careful, because that potentially we could be dealing with a life-death situation if we say the wrong things to people.
Yes.
And that's a slippery slope we deal with, but unfortunately people don't see it like that. They're just thrill seekers, or in that particular case, it was a cash grab. He wanted to go in there and impress her, to say that this is happening and that happening, and probably got about $300 out of it and just walked away and laughed his head off.
Well, there's the big problem right there. They're paying paranormal teams to come and investigate.
Exactly.
Any team that's charging an investigation fee is not doing you any favors.
And also we've had teams too, especially here in our city, where they made such a disaster of not only the investigation, but false claims of stuff, that these people really didn't, these businesses, or and these were some of them are quite well known, they would be great as a place for investigators to be able to go in and investigate, whether it's that we pay them or whatever, or make it a tourist thing or however. But they made such a disaster out of it that they won't even let teams in anymore.
Yeah.
See, that's a problem. Especially when you have a team that has a psychic medium, quote unquote, on their team, and they go in and they tell people you're cursed, or there's something going on your property, as Peter said, that needs to be addressed because they're psychic and they know. Well, that's often when we get
there's
called.
Nothing to back up what they're claiming, and that's the difference, and so many teams, they use a psychic properly. Yeah. But when you get these teams that come through like this, it's a disaster, and it's bad for not only the psychics that are out there, but the teams and the clients and all of that, and it just ruins it for everybody. It's like, we can't have nice things because you did this.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. Anyway, okay. Well, that concludes our final show.
Yeah, and we'll see you guys on Paraflix. We're so excited.
For those guys who just tuned in, we're off ski. We're going to Paraflix for new ventures. I've added the link in the comments section for to subscribe. It's only $5 a month Canadian for a subscription, and there's a lot of good content in there. If you're into Serious Mind, Paranormal Investigators, documentaries, and there's a few podcast shows on there as well, chat shows as well. Go check it out, and we'll see you on there.
Yeah. Also, I just want to say, don't unsubscribe from this channel though. We know there is going to be content that still comes out on this YouTube channel. It will not be our show, this particular show, but the channel will still be operating. I'll still be doing my show, Oracle Intuitions, on here. There will probably be other content that comes through. So make sure that you stay subscribed to this channel.
Yeah,
to the I Want to Believe channel. But
there's a few things coming down the pipeline for the I Want to Believe channel as well. Stay tuned on that. There is a bit of a reformat on the YouTube channel, going in a slightly different direction in relation to the content as well. So stay tuned on that. But for this show, I just want to say thank you to everyone over the past 2 years that has shown their support for the show. We really do appreciate it, and without your help, we weren't able to move to the next level of our exciting journey. So thank you guys, and we'll see you guys soon.
Bye, everyone.
Crap. Why are we still live?
Still live.